Okay, so good morning, everybody. Artificial intelligence is what we're going to talk about today in recruitment. All right, so a lot to be discussed in this subject. Just make sure I can get my my thing going here. So everybody can just look at the screen. We want to take attendance now. All right, we got that. Got everyone's to do facial recognition, and we are live and we're ready to go. So artificial intelligence and recruitment, we're going to talk about the trends, we're going to talk about the benefits, and we're going to talk about the ethics of artificial intelligence and recruitment. So today's agenda, the things we're going to talk about will be give a brief introduction about myself, ARA, Abdurrahman Abdullah, AI and HR, and the trends, how AI is being used in recruitment, as well as the benefits of AI in recruitment, and the ethics. Is AI ethical? And then we'll just come to a summary conclusion. So it'll be really brief, concise, just getting to the point. And just so you know, I approached this, I'm an HR person, but I approached it more so as a research, because a lot of this information, we knew about it, we hear about it, but we have to go and find out more information in depth, of course, when you do anything. So we approach it as research, more so without any biases, just trying to understand the information that's before us. So a little bit about myself. My name is Abdurrahman Abdullah. I am originally from America. I'm born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. After that, I spent some time in Europe. I was working with the military. I spent about 10 years in the United States Air Force. A lot of that time was spent in Europe. Thereafter, I spent some time in North Africa. I spent 2 years there teaching and also doing some things with the environment, Mr. Zach as well. And for the last 14 years, I've been in Kuwait, in the Middle East, working in various industries. From them, I've worked in aviation, security, logistics, and now oil and gas. I have a master's degree in instructional design and technology, bachelor's in business administration, focusing on HR. I'm a certified consultant and also a certified trainer. My social media information is there at the bottom in case you want to get in touch. Phone number is there as well, and you can find me also on LinkedIn. Furthermore to that, in today's presentation, so let's go ahead and start. I mean, I don't want to go and bore people because firstly and foremost, I think a lot of people already know what artificial intelligence is. We've seen the movies, we've seen and heard about many things with artificial intelligence. We've been talking about this stuff. We've been dreaming about artificial intelligence. So this is the definition of what artificial intelligence is. But did you know in I believe it was in the 1950s, 60s timeframe. In the 1950s, there was a movie called 2001: Space Odyssey. 2001: Space Odyssey was a movie that was ahead of its time, and it was really cutting edge in terms of predicting the future. This movie foresaw how artificial intelligence will be used. And the movie, I believe it came out in 1968. And it had you can say, an equivalent to what is a Siri now, what's equivalent to a Vera now, but they call it HAL at that time. So this guy, he went off into space, and I believe he had something to do with a mission in Jupiter, but this movie was made in 1956. And he had the whole speech recognition, talking to the computer, and it was just like what we have today. But that was made in 1956. If you haven't seen this movie, 2001: Space Odyssey, which came out in the 1960s. So that let us know that artificial intelligence is something that is basically something that's going to be the way of the future. It was predicted in this movie. So the term artificial intelligence, as we mentioned, it was first used in 1956. The scientists were teaching the computers how to mimic or copy human decision-making. So this turned into machine learning, in which robots, they taught themselves how to remember the mistakes instead of simply copying them. Okay, so we understand the word algorithms. You know, algorithms is just a basic set of rules or instructions which a computer can help solve a problem. And this is what plays a big part in machine learning, which machine learning is different from algorithms. It's a part of AI. It's a computer science that focuses on the data and algorithms to imitate the way humans learn and gradually improve. So this is something that is being used now across many organizations and also many different industries. More so, we can just see some of these organizations that are using, I mean, not just the organization, but also the industries. Do we have anyone here, for example, in the healthcare industry that's in the conference with us? I'm sure there's a way that AI is being used there. Logistics and supply chain, AI is being used there, as well as finance, automotive. We know that we have, self-driving cars and IT, security. There's so many things that now have AI in them. So we see an AI everywhere in every industry. So it only makes sense that artificial intelligence would also come to one of the most pertinent fields, which is HR. So artificial intelligence in HR is basically something that was inevitable because we as people, we have jobs that we do. And let me just get to the next slide here. So as HR people, we provide support for people within organizations. And a lot of these jobs, they're administrative, they're repetitive, they require frequent coordination. And we're just doing these things over and over and over. It's like recruitment, payroll, training and career development, compensation benefits, performance and evaluations, employee relations. All of these things are constantly on the forefront of what we do every day. And there's a lot of paperwork into that. So we look at a standard HR department, we see that these departments or these divisions that we see, they have a lot of different processes and activities, tasks, and a lot of things to do. For example, if we look at recruitment, there's a strategy that you should have, there's a screening process, advertising, a lot of things go into recruitment. And a lot of that is a lot of paperwork, a lot of coordination. The same thing for compensation benefits, market studies, benefits analysis, all of these different things are required. Training and career development. Training needs analysis. How do you train people? What do you need to train them on? There's so many different things that come to mind when you have to do training. Performance and evaluation, goal setting for the organization. What's the strategy in terms of how the top management is going to reach its goal and how those things trickle down within the organizations and how that impacts the people at the lower levels from the top, the middle, and to the lower levels of the organization. Employee relations, surveys, complaints, grievances, everything, all of these things are done throughout the organization and mainly through the HR department, as well as time and attendance, leave, payroll, all of these things are there. So this is actually what we call intelligent automation. This is intelligent automation. It is not AI, okay? There's a difference. We want to distinguish what's the difference between artificial intelligence, and we want to distinguish between intelligent automation, okay? There's a difference. You have AI and then you have IA. So with artificial intelligence, this is basically autonomous workers who are capable of mimicking human cognitive functions. This is AI. Whereas IA, this is intelligent automation, which enables large-scale data analysis and improved productivity. So this is where they differ, okay? So we don't want to mix the two. We want to understand that they actually complement each other. So when we think of AI, we should think about Alexa, Siri, Cortana, Vera, etc. When we think of IA, we should think about what it does for us in HR. It frees up individuals from mundane tasks. It scales up the operations. It reduces the cost. There's a lot of integration, the synchronization. There's not a lot of, repetitive, redundant tasks that are being handed down to people. So there's a difference between AI and IA, but they work very well together. And this is something that's going to free up the HR from doing those tasks over and over again. Intelligent automation throughout the career process. And HR, as we mentioned before, there are processes from the time a person enters into the organization. When I worked with Agility, it's a Kuwaiti logistic company, And Agility Logistics is based here in Kuwait, but it's now international. It's grown substantially since the time I joined, which was in 2007. But this was what brought me to Kuwait in 2007. I came as an HR manager, and we had to do a lot of recruiting for lower level positions. And I found that a lot of the processes that we had to do were really repetitive, and I like to look at HR or HR in general. We have a people process assembly line. There's a people process assembly line. Okay. And I conceptualized something that we actually put into practice, a program called Writers. So because this happens every time, the first thing we do, we recruit people. And then the second thing we do is we immerse them into the organizational culture. And then we have to develop them. We have to train them. Next, after that, we have to evaluate them to see if they're doing their jobs effectively. And then either you're going to retain those people or you're going to release them. And this in turn leads to the organizational success. So we call this Writers, and this was very successful in terms of approaching our thought in terms of how we manage our HR for, trying to maintain our business. But a lot of these things at that time, in 2007, 2011, that time frame, they were not automated. There was a lot of paperwork involved. But according to careerbuilder.com, 72 employers predict that elements of talent acquisition will be automated within the next decade. So automation is the way to go. So this is automation, which will ultimately go with the trend of AI. So this is an innovative trend in terms of recruitment. Now, if the organization is not using AI in the way that they're doing their business now, then they're going to be kind of left behind. So this brings us to the next sections, which is AI trends in recruitment. So what is a trend? Trend is the general direction in which something is developing or changing. And this is a noun. So we have an upward trend in sales and profit margins. And it's also something that we're doing. It's a change or development in general direction. Unemployment has been trending upward. But why do things trend? Why do things become hip? Why are people following this thing? And why are people doing this? So just because AI is really trendy right now, does that mean we have to do it? Well, according to this one tweet here by Brian Solis, he says, if necessity is the mother of invention, then the vision of this is innovation. So they basically, you need to innovate or die. This is a very powerful statement, innovate or die, because we've seen many companies go to the wayside because they failed to innovate. What comes to mind? Blockbuster, Video, Kodak, Nokia. We can think about these companies that didn't innovate, which led to their demise in terms of business. So AI is trending now in recruiting and as well as many other industries. So this is the way to go. So we understand the history of how recruiting has come about through technology over the years. So in the 1990s, this was the time I was graduating high school and trying to find a job, and everyone was putting their resumes on monster.com, USA Jobs, and you put everything in there and hopefully someone gets back to you, and you had the corporate career sites. Then you had the applicant tracking system in the 2000s where, they were basically tracking applicants, and you had a lot of buzzwords like we mentioned before, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, KSAs. So we had a long laundry list of words that you want to put them in your resume. Why? Because the system will pick you up and you're more liable to get the job if you understand what they're looking for in the job description. So everyone was going to recruiters and people who were specialists on resume writing, and they would help you write your resume. And this was what was happening. In the mid-2000s, we see that we have LinkedIn, which came about, I believe, in 2003 or 2005, to where now everything is opening up. I believe they said just in about a couple of years after LinkedIn had launched, they had 168 million profiles on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn opened up the doors for recruiting. Now we have social recruiting, which is on Twitter. There's jobs done online. People are posting jobs online. Social media recruitment is one of the most powerful hiring strategies of now. almost all businesses are using social recruiting and using social networks to proactively seek out candidates. This is happening a lot now, and I think a lot of us are aware of this. So AI trends. So we understand, okay, AI is trending. So who's the developers, who's the players that are using AI for sourcing, screening, and doing all of these things? So we got a lot of different companies here. These are some of the companies I've come across. And also we have, I believe there's going to be a presentation today on how AI actually works, from Skill, AI, and Automate. So I believe they're going to give us a presentation today regarding how AI actually works. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to necessarily show a video about it, because I think it's kind of a commonplace that we kind of have a general idea. There's many videos and many things we can find on YouTube about this subject that shows great videos, but I want to leave that to them so they can give us a demonstration on how it works. However, I did want to point out that the trending things in terms of these are the people, the companies that are developing it, and these are the companies that are actually using AI software to recruit. So some of those big companies, we know their names, we see them everywhere, and these companies are actually going with the trend of recruiting through AI. So one in particular, this robot created by Staffery, her name is Vera. And many of you may be familiar with this robot, Vera. She is basically an AI-based HR assistant. She manages mass recruitment processes. She searches CVs to web, to phone. She conducts video interviews. She collects feedback, converts this data into actual analytics and reports. So basically, she's a computer. She's doing everything. She speaks over 68 languages. She can conduct hundreds of job interviews in one day. So this is something that actually helps recruit. And this is what the big companies are trending to do. So we have the likes of IKEA, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, L'Oreal. Many of them are using this software. And if I'm not mistaken, this company is actually a Russian company that has implemented this robot, Vera. So you can also find Vera online. Is actually where I took the picture. She's on LinkedIn. They have a social media account for Vera. And she's a recruiter. You'll receive a phone call. She'll ask you a series of questions. And there's many examples on this, but I'm gonna leave that to Automate and Skill AI to give a presentation later on that. So her process, well, she will call the candidates, she interviews them, she finds suitable resumes, and she can also conduct a video interview in which she's basically scanning your analytics in terms of your gestures, your communicating, how you're communicating, your tone, your eye contact. All of these things are done with the help of AI. So this is what's trending now in AI and recruitment. So some of the priorities and why people are using AI and why companies should actually use it, according to Finance Online Times, they want to improve the quality of hiring. This is 52% of them said. 24% said they want to increase the retention rate. They want to improve the time that it takes to hire. And they also want to grow the talent pipeline and with a more diverse hiring process. So this is what many companies are looking at in terms of the top priorities in 2021. So moving on, what are the benefits? We understand what AI is. We understand the trend of it, and this is the new wave. But what are the benefits of using AI? Why should we use AI in recruitment? Why we can't do it the old way? Okay, well, me as someone who worked in recruiting, I would say I welcome AI because I know how mundane of a process that recruiting can be. It's very task-oriented. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So I'll give you an example. The old ways of recruiting. If anyone has ever recruited, you see a stack of resumes, okay? There's a lot that goes into recruiting. There is a lot that goes into recruiting. So we start off with, you have available vacancies, okay? So there's a vacancy. You have to arrange for the selection of the appointment. Why do you actually need this? This is the recruiting planning. So the first step is the planning. If a job is available, why is that job available? That means there must be a budget for it. There must be a budget. So that person that you want to hire, and how many positions do you have to give or to hire people for, you have to have a budget for it. So there's a plan. There's employee requisitions forms, there's budgets. Top management have to sign off. That's even before you start the recruiting process. And all of this is done manually, meetings, coordination, etc. Then after that, the process of finding and attracting capable applicants, we remember looking through newspapers for jobs before. We used to go look on websites as well, but some of the old ways is looking through newspapers to look for a job. Okay, so now you're marketing that particular position or positions. Then after that, sometimes you go out, you have a job fair. I mean, how many of us conducted job fairs where you have people come, you give them a 5-minute interview, you ask them their name, you see if they can speak English, and you go through a series of questions that you want to understand, okay, about that person, and you only have 5 minutes because sometimes there's so many people there, then you have to give them ratings. You'll put a stack of CVs on the table and you say, these are the A+ people, these are the A people, these are the B people, these are the C people, and the D people. And that's the recruitment process. So after that long day of working at a job fair, you still have a big stack of CVs or resumes that you have not selected. So you got the A's, you have the B's and the C's and the D's. Now, who are you going to give the job? Okay, the hiring, the results in a pool of applicants from which new employees are selected. How do you select the right people? Okay, all of this is very manual. Okay, this is very manual. And when you're doing that, as people in the hiring process, we know that when you have a large pool of people and you have one job available, or 2 jobs available, or 3 or 4, you know now that the person who was the most charismatic, the most memorable, who left the most, the biggest impression on you, you say, okay, this guy, I remember him, he was a nice guy, let me call him up. Now that personal interaction with that person comes in, he may have told you a story, you may remember that story, and then based off of that, you call him up, as long as he agrees with the salary, you give him the job. Or maybe someone recommended him, someone referred him for the job, perhaps. And then the next thing you know, you hire that person. If we look at the screen here, we have 5 people, all right? This is something, you know, when you hire people, you're probably going to get a lot of people that have qualifications that can meet the standards in which you're hiring for example. These 4 people we have here, they all were good to go. But then you had a guy who has a W on his chest. If we ever heard of this, this is called vitamin W. And some people get jobs based off of vitamin W. If you lived in the Middle East, these things are biases, nepotism, connections. You know, this is what is part of the problem, in which I think the rest of the conference today we'll talk about, forged degrees, visa trading and whatnot. WASTA, people getting jobs based upon, you know, not what they know, not what you know, but who you know. And sometimes that in the recruitment process can be eliminated with inoculation of what? AI. So AI removes vitamin W from the system. This is what happens because there's no more personal touch on that. Now it's more about the objective reasons on why you hire this person for the job. So why should we be using and benefiting from AI? According to McKinsey, AI's impact on global economy will generate 13 trillion in economy activity across the globe by 2030, within the next decade. Look at this picture here. That's $1 billion. That's what $1 billion looks like printed out on pallets. That's how $1 billion looks. Numbers don't lie. The benefits of AI, they said 13 trillion in economic activity across the globe by 2030. This is 1 trillion, what $1 trillion looks like in terms of money, American money printed. So we have a saying in America, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So it seems that not only is AI good for recruiting, but it's good for the economy in many ways. So looking at the benefits, it makes dollars and it makes sense in terms of wrapping it up here. You have reduced recruitment costs. You create more jobs, the operating expense. All of these things will work. All the other industries are using AI now, so you should be right in line with them. It makes sense because you have automated business processes. It saves time, it's efficiency. It reduces bias when you select the new hires, and you can hire the best qualified candidate, and you can decrease the employee turnover rate. So all of these things are very important when looking at the benefits of AI. So, but the question now, AI, when we have the good of things, we also have to look at the bad of things, the ethics. So AI, ethical and unethical practice. Is AI the right fit for your organization? Is it just because it's a trending new technology that everyone should be using AI? No, it's not. The question is, AI does have a blind spot. So because recruitment is complex, there's no algorithm that is inherently ethical and unethical. We need to look at how the technology is being used, whether the outcomes are being measured effectively in the short and long term. So how this technology is being used is very important. So AI begins with transparency, and also from looking at the fact that this data that we are programming the software for, it comes from human behavior. And this can be dangerous when it comes to recruitment if we start to make particular algorithms and make the machine hire people of certain ethnicities or whatnot. So it's very important that AI is just as unbiased as it's supposed to be. AI is only as good as the data that it's using. So it's a good trend, but we have to make sure we use this tool properly. So lastly, we come to a summary here, closing it. The trends, we basically say that AI is the way to go, innovate and die, all right? Basically, this is what and where the money is at. It makes sense to come on board with this trend for all of the reasons that we stated before. You're gonna save time and money, but we also have to look at the ethical part of this using AI. It's very important. And lastly, AI will take this person who perhaps would make it into the organization by vitamin W, and they will remove him, and you will have someone who you actually hired without those biases. And this is one of the benefits of AI. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And if there's some questions or anything, I think I have a few minutes left, and we can go from there.
Can I take, can I
Sure.
ask a question, Abdurrahman?
Yes, sir, for sure. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I have a saying, Abdurrahman. I believe that people work in IT are the most logical people.
Mm.
Now, the reason why I'm saying that the most logical, because if you don't have the right password, you won't be able to get things done. For example, if you want to have a password for your ATM machine, it's your money, but you can't get the money unless you put the right number or right code or right password, and so on.
Right.
I'm a human capitalist. I worked all my life for working on human, developing people. So I have, pardon me for asking this question, but human capital is not logical. Human capital is, we are emotionally driven.
Right.
AI can help a lot in many ways, as you mentioned about the recruitment process. Yes, they can, there's a certain buzzword, they'll be able to pick it up and be able to help deliver or maximize or optimize the requirement for processing and so on. That's fine.
Yes.
That's perfectly all right. You mentioned about the blind spots of AI, and I'm happy you mentioned that. One of the blind spots, or some of the blind spots, which I think is working for human capital development side myself, is the blind spot for counseling. There's no human touch for people to understand. A machine cannot understand the requirement. Why am I late Why? What's the reason why I was late? Something
Right.
happened or did not happen. So that counseling cannot be done by AI, neither any kind of resolution for conflict, which can take place
Sure.
at work. So there are many advantages, as you mentioned about it, but at the same time, I also feel the human touch, the human behavior for HR, which is human resources, uh, artificial intelligence can help many of the things that people need to be spending time on. They can reduce the time period. They can do many good things as what the AI, is providing. But at the same time, I also feel that human resources or the human touch and human capital development side process still require people on the on the front.
For sure. For sure.
Thank you very much, Abdurrahman. I was waiting for
Thank
your
you.
presentation. It's 3 o'clock in the morning for me. So I'm
Wow.
just gonna say adios to everyone. If I was yawning, please forgive me for that. Um, I took the opportunity of listening to you and of course Imad and the other gentleman Waleed.
Hey,
And so if you see me going switching off from here, please excuse me
I
for
understand.
that. Have a great day, all of you.
I understand. Zach, on the same note, some of the things that you're working on in terms of green economy, I'd like to inform you that working in Kuwait here for the last 14 years, I'm a pioneer of some of these things that what you're talking about. We did a Recycle in Ramadan project when I worked at Agility as an HR manager there. So this was something where we would recycle because here in Kuwait, you know that they give away food in the month of Ramadan, okay? And that generated a lot of plastic and there's a lot of waste going on. So I came up with a project to where we can actually recycle during that time frame because there was abundance of plastic. And we did this for a few years, but it wasn't sustainable because of the, the systems that are there, the logistics and everything. And as you mentioned before, the returns on it is nothing. No one wants to spend their time picking up plastic, trying to recycle, and then you only get 80 KD for a trailer worth of plastic. We recycled, I believe, like 3 or 4 tons of plastic in 1 month from 4 masjids just in 1 month. But there is many movements here kind of working towards this economic green economy or whatnot here. And I think there's a lot of undercurrents of people wanting to do this in spots and pockets, but I believe Omar mentioned it, that it has to come from the top down. So anyhow, offline, maybe I'll reach out to you and send you something so you can review.
I like to take one moment of your time, and all of you gentlemen and ladies. Bahrain used to be the first country among the Gulf countries to have oil. Bahrain is the first country who don't have oil. So in other words, what I'm trying to say, oil-based economy is a leading economy. That was the reason why I was showing you or sharing with you all the snapshot. So the Kuwait was the first country to introduce desalination plant.
Yeah.
Desalination plant meaning desalt, meaning taking the salt out of the water. Now the water in the Gulf, especially in Kuwait and Northern Gulf and the southern part of Gulf, the water is the salinity of the water is 400 times more than what you find in open sea.
Wow.
So in other words, if you're drinking bottled water, which I just saw you drinking bottled water, for example, the bottled water, if you read the label, I'm serious, if you read the label, you will find the sodium level is so high.
Right.
Because you cannot extract all of that to become zero sodium. Sodium means salt, which is bad for your health. If you take a look at the bottled water, you will also find the chloride level very high. So what I'm trying to say is that circular economy is a way forward to protect some of the resources that we have. And that's why I've been saying it to people. Why throw away resources? Why not create circular economy? And as a last information that I'd like to share with all of you, I've just been awarded the International Award for Books for Peace for 2021. That was been given to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that was given to me because of my community engagement as well as for environmental engagement. And as a chairman for CSR for Dubai Quality Group, you mentioned about giving food during the iftar time. That's very noble, but that's not sustainable.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and this is why we stopped. It wasn't about giving food. I mean, that's what's happening. I mean, now COVID has broken up every social gathering that we know. The point was that when the people receive the food from donations, which I believe that part is sustainable in terms of, because the people always want to give and it doesn't cost that much. But the point was, after you eat and all of this waste is there in every mosque in the whole country, which there's thousands of, and that's happening for a month, that's an increase of waste in one location. It makes sense that you take this waste that's in one location and that you recycle it properly, and you have the proper receptacles and you put it in the proper place. This was something that I learned from living in Europe, that, you know, this is something that it just makes the most sense to recycle. So anyhow, the shift of culture is what's required.
I'll be more than happy to share more details if anybody wishes to write to me. Again, we're not out here to promote any company or any product or services. I'm just here to share the requirement for what we need to do in order to take care of our future generation and future stakeholders. And if we can create the opportunity by creating the Women Empowerment Program, by giving them the economic equality, it helps a lot. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you very much. And I again apologize. I got to go sleep. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Mr. Abdurrahman, how many companies are using AI in Kuwait for recruitment?
I actually, in Kuwait, I have no idea in terms of how many. Honestly, I can't tell you. Perhaps you would have a better understanding of it, because I think from my standpoint, I think there's probably very few. And maybe you in this conference is going to be opening up the doorway for that in terms of, you know, people starting to follow this trend. So I'm waiting on the presentation. I believe the simulation of how it's actually used. I don't want to give any videos or show how it works. I wanted you guys to showcase that. So actually, I don't know. I'll have to be very frank. I don't know. I didn't find any information about it when I did my research. I didn't find anything.
Okay. Yeah,
but it's a good question.
Presentation. So, any other questions?
Everyone is sleeping, huh?
It's a new technology, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are trying to.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. I'm here.
Hi.
Sir, can you repeat question?
Sorry.
Hi, sir. I'm here. I am here. Can you hear, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you. I guess the question was, do you have any questions? That was the question. Are there any questions? This was the question.
Sir, I am very new in this artificial intelligence, but I know one thing. I'm sure one thing. It reduces human efforts, and And one more thing I want to know, the thing is, how can rectify the, how can improve the human productivity if artificial intelligence comes? I think it reduces the human productivity, the thinking ability of the humans. I am worried about that.
Can I answer that? Yeah, I think that's directed. I just finished my presentation. So, Suja, I think as we should welcome AI and we should welcome IA, because ultimately that's going to push us as humans to go with the trend, because we have to progress with it. I mean, now everyone is using Zoom, everyone uses a smartphone, everyone uses a computer. We're not using a typewriter, right?
Yes.
So ultimately, if you work in HR, you should be looking for digital HR certification, something, and this is something that I myself am working on, digital HR, to where now you understand your job better based upon what's happening in the market. And then you can be more productive at work because you understand where the industry is going and where the technology is going.
So one more thing, and the population is tremendously increasing. Then how can we find the solution for the individual job?
I mean, the question goes back to my previous answer, is that the humans are controlling the AI. The humans control the AI. The AI doesn't control the human, not like in the science fiction movie where we see the robots taking over the people. No, it's not at that stage. And I don't think it will ever get to that stage. It's more so that computer system, that automation, it requires a human to actually initiate it. So, but you have to know how to interact with that technology. And actually, in many countries, this is where everyone is going to, because this is what's creating the job. And I believe in artificial intelligence in alone, in the whole world, they say there's only like 10,000 people who are specialized in artificial intelligence. This is what I heard when I was doing my research, only 10,000. So they did the math and they said that each one of these individuals, their salaries or the money that they make based upon 1 year's GDP, is that they made $350,000 a year. So someone who is actually programming into machine learning, they make more money. So if you want to go with the trends, you should learn more about it. If you have children, teach them about it. Let them get a certification in this, so that they will be prosperous as well. So don't worry about the technology taking the job away from you. Just go with the technology rather.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'm satisfied. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad to satisfy you with this answer.
Yes.
Rahman, can I add to it, if you don't mind?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Back then when the Industrial Revolution came about, people were worried about their jobs being lost. But when the Industrial Revolution came about, there was machines that took away the jobs that was repetitive. And this gave the humans more time to understand or work on the other aspects of the Industrial Revolution, how to operate the machines and all, but the machines were doing the job. So in the same way, we are in another revolution where it is AI, big data, cybersecurity. So yes, they will be taking over some of the jobs, but then it gives humans other aspects or other avenues to look into. So with artificial intelligence, we have cybersecurity on the rise, the hacking. It gives rise to many other jobs as well. So this adds, to more job opportunities as well.
Thank you for sharing it, Omar. Most definitely.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman. So it is a start for AI. So inshallah, we'll be trying to implement in Kuwait. So we need your support for implementation.
I'm here, inshallah. Oh, excuse me. Can I open up? Someone sent a question in the chat.
Yes.
I think he sent it to everyone, Mansoor Amin, and I responded back to him. He says, what are the digital certifications and where may they be availed? A brief background, please. So I just shared what I know, a company that I'm looking into, and maybe there's others that people can talk about. They're called, I know AIRHKUWAIT is a company in Europe. I believe it's in Netherlands. And I'm researching this company now. And I like to do the market research before I just go with any certification. But this company, they have a good website and they have a lot of information about AI and HR where you can get a digital certification, I guess, to basically understand all the different facets of AI while you're working in HR. If anyone knows of anything else, Mr. Shamil, of any other certifications or any companies that's given this digital certification, please share it because people want to know.
Okay, we will check with our partners and next section we will reply for this.
Okay, thank you.